Okay, good evening, everyone. I'd like to call to order this meeting of Salem City Council for September 8th, 2025. Will the recorder please call the roll?
Councillor Tigan.
Here.
Councillor Nishioka.
Here.
Councillor Matthews.
Here.
Councillor Gwynn. Here. Councillor Brown.
Present.
Councillor Vang. Here. Councillor Nordyke.
Here.
Councillor Varney.
Here.
Mayor Julie Hoy.
Here. City Attorney Dan Atchison, would you lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance, please? Councillor Nishioka, do we have any additions or deletions to the agenda tonight?
Yes, we do. I move for additions to the agenda.
Second. Councillor, to your motion.
Thank you. So we have a revised staff report on 3.3A to include only the names of the pertinent board and committees appointments to the Budget Committee, Public Arts Commission, and Downtown Advisory Board. Item 5.A, a revised staff report to clarify the recommendation from the Council Boards and Commissions Appointments Committee. There is a new report added, item 6E, announcing appointments to the Airport Advisory Commission, Center 50 Plus Advisory Commission, Historic Landmarks Commission, and the Human Rights Commission. And a new report added as item 6F to update the city's legislative activities in advance of the state legislature's special session on transportation funding. And that ends the additions.
Any comments or questions on any of that? Okay, will the recorder please call the roll?
Councillor Nishioka.
Aye.
Councillor Matthews.
Aye.
Councillor Gwynn.
Aye.
Councillor Brown.
Aye.
Councillor Vang.
Aye.
Councillor Nordyke.
Aye.
Councillor Varney.
Aye.
Councillor Tigan.
Aye.
Mayor Julie Hoy.
Aye. All right, we're moving on then to council and city manager comments. Does anyone have anything they'd like to share? Councillor Vang, go ahead.
Thank you, Mayor. So I was sworn in as City Councilor back in June, and since then I've had a busy summer settling into my role as Councilor. And so I was given the opportunity to tour a couple of places around the city. I toured our 911 dispatch and was able to do a ride-along with our fire department. And this experience just, really centered and really allowed me to see what our first responders and what our dispatch do, on the day-to-day, and what they need to continue to ensure that the service they provide continues. And so, in addition to those tours and ride-alongs, I was able to also tour the Arches Lodge, Nest, and Navigation Center, and really see what our community partners are doing to help the city and keep our community from being unsheltered. And so they're doing great work out in the community, and I love to see that. I also had the opportunity to attend a ribbon cutting ceremony for a first in the nation wraparound recovery school for our high school youth. And to be part of such a great project really highlights how our community really wants to center recovery for our youth and meet them where they're at. And I was also able to meet with a group that has a really exciting project underway to revitalize the Dome building on the state hospital grounds. And so during my summer, I was able to see a lot of good in my community and a lot of exciting projects and a lot of positivity that's happening. And I just wanted to share that with the council and the rest of the city to know that even though there are going to be complex issues and difficult conversations that we have here, there's also a lot of good that's happening in the community, and those deserve a place in our conversation and to be highlighted. So thank you, Mayor.
Thank you. Anyone else? Councillor Brown?
Thanks, Madam Mayor. And on that subject of tours, Councillor Vang, I too would like to share with my colleagues here that this past week I did a tour with our parks folks. And so a lot of us in the space may not know that we have 90+ parks. And in Ward 5, I had the opportunity to visit all the parks. And I am very appreciative of the work that happens, especially when I don't see it happening, but it's happening behind the scenes. And so I just want to give kudos out to our Parks Department and, of course, at Public Works. It's just beautiful to see everyone, you know, hard, fast, and doing the, just making sure people are enjoying our parks. So kudos to them.
Thank you, Councillor Brown. Councillor Nordyke.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. So earlier today, I attended a forum offered by the Chamber of Commerce, and they had a speaker from Sightline Institute regarding housing in the city of Salem and really across the state. Definitely worth a watch if you were not able to attend. However, I did notice that there were a number of facts that the presenter gave that are really more about statewide, that didn't really reflect everything that's happening in the city of Salem. So, for example, there was a slide that the presenter gave that talked about housing production strategy. Every city in the state has to do one. It's a new state law. And it showed that ours was coming in years from now, but as many people know, we've already adopted our housing production strategy with 17 different goals. And that process is very much ongoing. And I also want to remind folks that the city has done a great deal to streamline our permitting process to make it easier to apply for a permit, because no permit, no housing, right? No permit, no new business, etc. So I do think it's important to point that out. And it also gave me an opportunity to really reflect on the fact that in recent years, under the massive changes that we've done to rezoning, we have rezoned over 1,800 acres. And that rezoning enables us to build in places we were never able to build before, which means we can help close that affordable housing gap that is a persistent gap here in Salem and really facing not just our state, but the entire country has an affordable housing shortage. There's no question of that. One example of a place where we are building now that we would not be able to do so before under the zoning laws of old was the Gussie Bell Commons building. So if you go to the state hospital campus, you'll see they're in the process of putting that up. That's 150 units of affordable housing that would not even have been legally possible just a few years ago. So I really love to see all the infill that is happening, because our urban growth boundary is not changing anytime soon. So developers in the city need to work together, have an open line of communication. I'm sure there is more we can do to streamline the process even further to make it as expeditious as possible, because permitting time adds cost to any project, and we want people to be able to build as affordably as they can. We want to get them shovel ready as soon as possible. So I look forward to having more conversations with our developers, our home builders, our city staff, because I think we are truly in it together, and we're not going to be able to meet our own housing production goals unless we work together. Thank you.
Councillor Tigan.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Just briefly, some folks know I came down with COVID in the recent past and finally shook it and was able to go out on a run on Sunday morning. And in my family at dinner, we always say our high of the day, our low of the day, if we have questions, and a gratitude. And my gratitude on Sunday was for whoever was on the city council however many years ago when they sparked the idea of Minto Brown Park. It is just one of the gems of our city, and I was running through it on Sunday and really struck by the idea that if you tried to do it all at once, we never would have done it. There's too many trails, there's too many parking lots, there's too many amenities. If you built it all at once, we would have looked at it and said, no, we can't have that in the city of Salem. We don't have the available resources. But over the course of many councils, probably decades, that resource has come together. And it started with a spark at a city council meeting just like this one. And so I don't know when that happened, if it was in the 60s or the 40s or the 90s, I have no idea, but it did. And I was really thankful for it that day. And I also just want to share my gratitude for this body because we have the ability to spark ideas like that too. And they won't transform Salem overnight, but who knows who's going to be running in some park that hasn't even been created yet 50 years from now, and they're going to say, wow, where did this come from? It could come from a body just like ours tonight.
Thank you, Councillor Teigen. Anyone else? I have a little something to share. That Friday night I had the honor of tossing the coin for the Mayor's Cup, the football game between South and North. Never done anything like that. And it was very exciting, a lot of energy. My husband was a graduate of South, so I might have rooted one way a little bit more than another. But in the end, I awarded that trophy to North Salem High School for the big win. So yeah, it's a big deal. I understand there's a few players on that team headed for D1, so it was quite something to watch. The only other thing I wanted to share is that the collaboration track has commenced through Bloomberg Harvard. We've begun discussions and meetings about that. I'm really excited for Salem, for all of us, to have this opportunity for big help in pursuit of the vision for Salem, a clean, safe, and healthy Salem. So I'm super excited about that. And that's it for me. Anybody else before we move on? No. We're going to move on to proclamations. And our first for this evening, Councillor Nordyke, I believe you're up.
All right. Testing 1, 2, 3. Can you hear me?
One moment. Ashley? Can we have this mic on by any chance? This podium mic over here? He's on his way. Councillor Nordyke, thanks for your patience.
It should be on now. Testing 1, 2, 3. All right, very good. Thank you, folks, and good evening, one and all. At this time, in recognition of National Service Dog Month, the 50th anniversary, I am pleased to ask John Ells, on behalf of Canine Companions, to step forward, along with a very special four-legged guest by the name of Fajita, as I understand it. Please step forward and receive the proclamation. Hello, please come on up, folks. Why don't you stand here so they can take your photo, and I'll read off the proclamation. Now make sure you boys notice it. Yeah. Good babies, good babies. I didn't bring any treats on me. See, don't tell my dog. She'd be very jealous. She was not selected for this honor. All right, whereas service dogs perform invaluable roles enhancing the independence, safety, and quality of life for individuals with disabilities, providing navigation, medical alerts, mobility assistance, emotional support, and aid with daily tasks. And whereas service dogs are protected under the Americans with Disabilities Act, and their tireless service benefits individuals, families, and the broader community. Whereas service dogs are integral to the independence of people with disabilities, and their life-changing work deserves recognition, as well as the organizations and individuals involved in their training and support. And whereas Canine Companions, which created the modern service dog concept for people with disabilities, celebrates its 50th anniversary in the year 2025, and whereas, since its first placement in 1975, Canine Companions has provided task-trained service dogs to adults, children, and veterans with disabilities, and facility dogs to professionals working in healthcare, criminal justice, and educational settings, and whereas
Dogs and all follow-up services are provided at no cost to clients. Canine Companions puppies are specially bred, raised, and trained for their future careers. And now, therefore, I, on behalf of Madam Mayor Julie Hoy, Mayor of the City of Salem, do hereby recognize September 2025 as National Service Dog Month and urge all residents to promote understanding and appreciation of service dogs and their work, and also recognize the dedication of service dog teams and the organizations, trainers, puppy raisers, behaviorists, veterinarians, and nonprofits that support them. Thank you. Would you like to say a few words? Yes, please.
Thank you to the mayor and the city council on behalf of all the disabled people who are helped by service dogs here in Salem. And thanks also from all the people, she's alerting me, who make this possible. The agencies like Joyce for Living Service Dogs, who train assistance dogs here in Salem, PAWS Assisting Veterans here in Salem, and Canine Companions that trained my dog. And to all the people who made this possible, the donors, the trainers, the volunteer puppy raisers, et cetera, et cetera. And also on behalf of all of your dogs and your cats too. Thank you.
Wonderful. Would you
Do
like
I take
to?
this along?
Sure. So why don't we pause here? So you stand here. We'll have our photo taken.
Okay.
All right. Make sure Fajita's in the photo now.
Sit.
Here we go.
Good girl.
We're off. Great. Wonderful. All right. This belongs to you. Thank you very much.
Beautiful.
You both.
Thank you
Great.
very much.
All right.
Yeah.
Would you enjoy
Excellent. Councilor Nishioka, you're up.
I'm assuming this is still on. Yes, sounds like it. All right, I get to bring forward Trina Fowler, CEO of Salem Free Clinics, and Development Director Maddie Luthier. Close enough.
Lutweiler.
Thank you. And I also want to acknowledge Teresa Hancock in the audience. She is one of the volunteer nurses at the clinic and was forthright in encouraging me to present this proclamation. So thank you, Teresa. Thank you both for being here. Whereas in 2005, Salem Free Clinics was established with a mission to bridge the gap in healthcare access by providing quality, compassionate care at no cost to individuals in need. And whereas Salem Free Clinics has been a vital resource in the greater Salem area, offering free medical, dental, and counseling services to uninsured and underserved individuals in need, regardless of their background or their circumstances. And whereas Salem Free Clinic has grown from hosting clinics in a middle school gymnasium to operating a permanent facility and has expanded its service to include specialized programs for diabetes care, mental health counseling in partnership with Corbin University, and rural outreach through the Polk County Community Free Clinic. And whereas the success of Salem Free Clinic has been made possible by the dedication of 35 provider volunteers, more than 50 nurses, and over 150 support volunteers, and the generosity of donors and community partners. Because of this community effort, Salem Free Clinics delivered more than 6,500 patient appointments to over 2,000 individuals in just the past year. And whereas Salem Free Clinic work reflects a powerful commitment to equity, dignity, and care for all residents, serving as a critical safety net for those in need and reducing the burden on local emergency healthcare systems. Salem Free Clinic is a shining example of what a community can accomplish when compassion, service, and innovation come together to meet urgent human needs. And now, therefore, Julie Hoy, Mayor of City of Salem, does hereby recognize Salem Free Clinic's 20th anniversary and urge all residents to honor its unwavering dedication to improving public health and advancing the dignity and wellness of all members of our community. Dated this 8th day of September, 2025. So thank you. Again, this is an amazing clinic that has done some amazing things, and I'm really glad that we could recognize them for all of this work. Is anyone going to come and take a picture? I guess, yeah. Okay, good. Yeah. Thank you. Thank you very much for coming.
Okay, if I could ask Kathy Otley to come forward. Kathy is the volunteer and lead of the District 6 Ambassador Constituent Team and Government Relations Director. And is this Jane? Is Jane with you? Jane, you coming up? This is another volunteer. Okay. What is your name? Azalea. Azalea is here also. Thank you for being here, ladies. I'm going to read this proclamation for you. Whereas the American Cancer Society estimates that 8,770 Oregonians will die from cancer in 2025, with 26,980 expected diagnoses this year. And whereas cancer is the leading cause of death among Oregonians, with lung, breast, and prostate cancer the most prevalent. And whereas in the past 30 years, thanks to the federal government's substantial and steady increases in cancer research funding, discovery and innovation have led to a 34% decline in cancer mortality rates. And whereas Oregon has played a large part in those gains with work at the Knight Center Institute at Oregon Health Science University and the Earl A. Childs Research Institute, among others, while thousands of Oregonians work to treat, care for, and support those who have been diagnosed, and whereas cancer research funded by the National Institute of Health has created 4,435 Oregon jobs and $964 million in economic activity, and whereas Salem's Kathy Otley's Lights of Hope display at Riverfront Park on August 27, 2025, was a reminder that cancer touches all lives and that we can, indeed, end cancer as we know it for everyone. Whereas Kathy Otley, a 7-time cancer survivor, raised more than $26,000 for cancer research and will join hundreds of fellow cancer advocates on September 15th through 16th, 2025 for the ACS Cancer Action Network Lights of Hope and Leadership Summit and Lobby Day in Washington, D.C., urging lawmakers to fully fund research into cancer cures. And now, therefore, I, Julie Hoy, Mayor of the City of Salem, do hereby proclaim September 2025 Salem Fights Cancer Month and encourage Kathy Otley and our Oregon ACS Cancer Action Network delegation as they advocate for all of us in the nation's capital.
No one can be a volunteer and do any of this alone. It takes a team. I am so proud of the Salem community that is slowly coming together. This is our 6th event. We will continue to grow. We will continue to honor those who survived and remember those who lost their lives. This year we had 2,000 bags at Riverfront Park. So it's a symbol to our elected officials that these are people, this is real time, and I appreciate Mayor Hoy taking the time to honor us. Thank you.
It was my first time attending the Lights of Hope event this year. It was very moving. And I just lost a friend yesterday to cancer who will have a bag next year. So thank you. We'll move on to presentations. Super excited about this, gentlemen. The Wall That Heals, traveling replica of the Vietnam Memorial. Please come forward. Be sure to push that button and make sure you have a green light before you speak. I know Mr. McArdle does not need a microphone.
I'll make the effort, but I can't project as loud as Mr. McArdle.
We'll get you all hooked up here.
Okay. Good evening, and thank you very much. My name is Billy Wisenett. I'm one of the co-chairs, along with Mr. McArdle, for hosting the Wall That Heals, which we will be visiting Independence September the 16th. So it's coming up soon. I'm also a veteran, United States Marine Corps, tour of Vietnam in 67 and 68. I'm also the commander of the American Legion Post 33 in Independence. The Wall That Heals is a 3/4 scale replica of the Vietnam Veterans Memorial in Washington. It's maintained by an organization called the Vietnam Veterans Memorial Fund, and they have been touring since 1986. This year, there were 140 applicants to host the Wall That Heals, and Independence was one of 30 that was selected. Independence will be the only stop in our state, and we're really looking forward to it coming. It's taken a tremendous effort. The panels that have the names of 58,381 Vietnam veterans is transported in a 53-foot trailer. The trailer is transported by drivers that donate their time and their fuel to transport the Wall That Heals all over the United States. Since they've started in 1986, they've toured over 300 cities, and they've estimated an approximate 300,000 visitors. As a Vietnam veteran, I'm ready for this to come. A lot of us Vietnam veterans sort of withdrew after the Vietnam War, and a lot of Vietnam veterans don't have the opportunity to go to Washington, so this will bring a 3/4 scale replica. As you can see, it stays illuminated. It'll be open 24 hours a day. Our opening ceremony, John can tell you more about that, but we'll be escorting it in, starting at the Salem the National Guard Recruiting Center here in Salem by the fairgrounds next Tuesday. We've got an estimated 75 to 100 motorcycle riders that will be escorting it in, along with all the police departments that are involved, and 20 Corvettes, for what that's worth. So we'll be going through Salem, going right past the Capitol, and going through Dallas, through the campus at WOU, and then through Monmouth, and then through to Independence, where we'll be setting it up on the 17th starting at about 8 o'clock in the morning at the sports park there. So again, thank you very much. I could go on, but I'll stop now. I want to tell you how much I appreciate you giving us the opportunity to speak about this event. It's truly going to be a healing event, and I'm hopeful that Vietnam veterans will have that opportunity to come and visit and share their stories with other Vietnam veterans. So thank you very much.
Good evening, councilors, mayors, folks. It's really an honor to be able to be involved with this. I'm John McCardle, the co-chair of this effort to the Wall That Heals Independence. As Billy said, we're one of 30 cities in the United States that is hosting the wall this year. And let me just go over a little bit of how and why. For over 2 years, some 25 people have worked very, very hard to bring this to our community. We asked that it would come in September. And we asked that it come in September for a reason, so that school folks from the education community, schools, tour groups could come and see. Because one of the things that we learned, all Vietnam veterans are older than I am now. And we know that many people don't know what the impact of the Vietnam War was to people, communities, and the impact overall in our country. And so we want to let people have an opportunity. Specifically, none of you are old enough to have had a draft number, but I'm sure there's some in the audience behind me that if I turned around and asked people of a certain age, they know their number. Many people don't realize, or even teachers, that they could draft you and you had to go in the Army. People didn't understand that. And so this is one of the opportunities. People will be able to come to see the wall. There's a mobile education center there with trained tour guides, videos, so that folks can get an understanding. The wall is 375 feet long, and as Billy said, it's open 24 hours a day. It's going to come through Salem next week, which is Tuesday. It's going to come from the State Fairgrounds down 17th Street to State Street. And it'll take a right on State Street and then go through the middle of downtown along Court, State and then Court, you know how it goes there, and past the State Capitol building, then up over the Marion Street Bridge and over to Dallas, Monmouth, Independence, and then to the Independence Sports Park. On the Wednesday, there'll be a setup. Volunteers are coming together to set the wall up. And from that point on, it'll be open 24 hours a day till 2 p.m. on Sunday. On Thursday at 6 o'clock, there will be a welcoming ceremony, a brief but thoughtful welcoming ceremony at the Independence Sports Park at the wall. On Friday will be the Agent Orange activity, ceremony. The Agent Orange activity is not everyone that was affected by the Vietnam War, those that died, but many died later on as a result of Agent Orange or other things. Specifically, my predecessor as mayor of Independence was Tom Ritchie, who went on to become a Polk County commissioner. He got Parkinson's because of Agent Orange and died an early death. So it is not an abstract. The wall will be open all day Saturday, and it will be open till 2 o'clock on Sunday, the 21st. So we hope that you will take the time to come. And I know that anytime I get in front of a group of leaders, I always ask you for something. What I ask each of you to do is I've given you a flyer. Each one of you have it. Please use your social media, your community connections to share the importance of this event. It is a healing event for veterans, for families, for people who were touched over the years. It really has touched many people. And we like to think that this is the recognition and remembrance that many Vietnam veterans didn't get when they came home, and now we can give that to them. So thank you for the opportunity. Thank you for your support, specifically your motorcycle officers who are helping lead the procession through our communities. And I just want to thank the whole city of Salem and all of you for what you do. Thank you very much.
If I could say one last thing. I've been thanked for my service and welcomed home quite a bit since Vietnam. But truly, in Independence and in Oregon and here, I actually feel welcomed home. And that's very important, and that's what I'm hopeful for our other Vietnam veterans that may still harbor some cynicism and some anger and frustration at the way they were treated. Thank you again. Appreciate it very much. It's good to be home.
The gentleman? Mr. McCardle? Could you gentlemen come back in for just a moment? Thank you, sir. You're not in trouble, I don't think. Councillor Bang?
Thank you, Mayor. Gentlemen, I appreciate you guys being here today and letting the community know about such an important event. And sir, thank you for your service. Both my grandparents were involved in the conflict. And so this is it hits really close to my heart. As a child of refugee parents from this war, this history is not in our distant past. And so I appreciate you gentlemen coming and reminding our community, reminding us of the history that this conflict, this war has brought. And as it makes its way across Oregon and across our nation, I just want to, again, appreciate the effects that this war has had on not only our men and women in uniform, but also the civilians and the children who did and did not survive this war. And so thank you for coming and reminding us of this important piece of history. It truly means a lot to me, and it hits really close to home. So thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Bang. Oh, I just love that this council just has so much genuine nature. I thank you. So much appreciated by me. Okay, we are moving on to public comment. We have one person signed up, Mark Wigg. If you could come forward to the podium, you know how this works. Please say your name and your address or your ward for the record, and you'll have 3 minutes.
Okay, good. Okay, Mark Wigg, Ward 2. And I just wanted to come and encourage you not to go after commercial air and spend millions of dollars to entice them to come here. The economic analysis that was done only talks about, oh, all those people came, 30,000 some people came to Salem only because of the low price. But that means about 60,000 left Salem because of the low price. And the economic analysis doesn't include that. Imagine 60,000 Salem residents leaving for 4 days. Would that have an impact on the city of Salem economically? Yes, it would. And so when you do an economic analysis, it's not just the money coming in, it's the money going out. And the city of Salem has a chance to say, airport, you pay for it. And you could have raised the airport fuel aviation fee 4 cents, but you raised it 2 cents. Now, if you get 1,000 gallons of gas, that's about $6,000. That's $20 more to add another 2 cents per gallon. Charge more for airport use and make the money, if you're going to subsidize, make it that way. Subsidize it by having the airport pay for it. Don't take it out of the other funds, because like $5 million, that would be enough money to do eviction prevention for 1,000 families. That's significant, and that would be really helpful. And thank you all.
Thank you for your testimony. We are now on to the consent calendar. Councilor Nishioka?
Thank you. I move to approve the consent calendar.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion? Go right ahead. Thank you.
So the consent calendar consists of 3.1, the minutes from the August 25th, 2025 City Council meeting, and the action item 3.3A, appointments to the Budget Committee, Downtown Advisory Board, and Salem Public Arts Commission. And that concludes the consent calendar.
Okay. Any discussion on any of that? Seeing none, will the recorder please call the roll?
Counselor Matthews?
Aye.
Counselor Gwynn?
Aye.
Counselor Brown?
Aye.
Counselor Vang?
Aye.
Counselor Nordyke? Aye. Counselor Varney?
Aye.
Counselor Tigan?
Aye.
Counselor Nishioka?
Aye.
Mayor Julie Hoy?
Aye. Okay, now we are on to special orders of business. Councilor Nishioka, would you like to make the motion?
Yes, thank you. I'm not sure I have the correct verbiage on this, but I move that the Boards and Commissions Committee recommend Mr. Levin for the Planning Commission, but deferred to City Council on whether to conduct an interview.
Dan Atchison, City Attorney. Just to clarify, there was a revised report sent out, and the recommendation for from the committee is just to recommend Mr. Levin to the Planning Commission.
Thank you for clarifying that. And so that would be to my motion, and go from there.
Do we have a second?
Second.
Second by Gwynn. Any discussion? Councilor Matthews?
I just wanted to disclose, so Mr. Levin lives in my ward, and he contributed to my campaign. It doesn't affect my vote anywhere here, and I don't even think I actually have to disclose it, but I figured just out of abundance of caution. So,
thank you, sir. Anyone else? Yes, Councilor Nishioka.
Yes, I'll just bring up that Mr. Levin's name was brought forward. The last planning commissioners, we did interview. The last budget appointee or recommended appointee was interviewed. So we have the opportunity if anyone chooses, but that's certainly our discretion.
Councilor Varney.
Thank you very much. I just wanted to make a comment in regards to one of the last questions on the application. And it talks about whether there would be, it asks, please describe your affiliations within the community that could affect your ability to participate in land use decisions, et cetera. And the applicant said, because now I am now retired, that and no longer active in the real estate business representing clients or businesses, there is no conflict. And I just wanted to mention, I asked about this and whether, since we have been going through a lot of this, the Oregon Government Ethics Commission rules, and I read through the bylaws for the Planning Commission under ethics, et cetera, and I just wanted to mention it's not just the individual, it's also family. It goes into more details in the bylaws. And so I would just ask that, or remind folks that while the applicant's experience is fantastic to have on the commission, et cetera, there may be conflicts that come up, and I just hope he will disclose those. That's all. Thank you.
Anyone else? Okay, if there's nothing further, will the recorder please call the roll?
Counselor Gwynn? Aye. Counselor Brown?
Aye.
Counselor Vang?
Aye.
Counselor Nordijk?
Aye.
Counselor Varney?
Aye.
Counselor Tigan?
Aye.
Counselor Nishioka?
Aye.
Counselor Matthews?
Aye.
Mayor Julie Hoy.
Aye. Motion passes. We are now moving on to the information reports. I will read through these, and if anyone has any questions or comment, just stop me. Item 6, I might not have a complete list on this copy. Okay, thank you. Item 6A, we have the Planning Administrator decision, a new multifamily development of a 192-unit apartment complex. Is this next?
Yep.
Okay. Item 6B, Planning Administrator decision, development of a new mixed-use building with... Okay. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm going to pause the meeting. We're going to take a short recess. We have a little something to deal with, so... Back in session. To item 6B, we have the Planning Administrator decision, a development of a new mixed-use building with 49 residential units and ground floor commercial space. Item 6C, we have purchases approved administratively from July 1, 2025 through July 31st, 2025. Item 6D, update on a potential minimum revenue guarantee to recruit commercial air service to Salem, Willamette Valley Airport. Yes, Councillor Nishioka, go right ahead.
Thank you very much. Yes, I have a lot of mixed feelings on the airport, and I appreciate the bringing this report forward. I thank you again, Mr. Bechtel, for providing us that information. But I would like to go ahead and make a motion. I move to direct staff to return to council with possible recommendations for funding options to support the airport MRG.
Second.
We have a second by Matthews. Councillor, to your motion.
Thank you very much. As Mr. Wigg was saying earlier in his public testimony, he's asking that we not utilize general funds, and I agree. I'm hoping that our staff can review opportunities that may not be as obvious to us, and I may even call Mr. Eggleston up to the podium. I had presented some ideas to him earlier, and he was kind enough to respond with answers. I was seeking if there was any airport reserve funds or if there were any other opportunities through SEDCOR gets primarily URA money, and I was trying to see if there was any opportunities there or any business funds that we had. So, Josh, would you like to come and just speak to those things so that we all have an awareness that some of the areas that I wondered about are probably not available to us, and then I will continue on with my conversation.
Good evening, Josh Eggleston, Chief Financial Officer. Appreciate the opportunity to clarify. Just real quick to those couple items, the said core contribution comes from two funding sources from the city and the urban renewal agency. There's a $60,000 portion from the city's general fund, and the rest is urban renewal agency dollars. The challenge with those is it is general fund dollars, and if we didn't give that to said core, their economic development activities would be limited to the urban renewal agency areas.
Excuse me, Josh, I'm
Yes.
sorry. We're having trouble hearing you up here. Could you just get a little closer maybe to the microphone?
I certainly can try. Should I repeat the... So $200,000 for the said core contract, which has already been signed for this year. $60,000 comes from the general fund, with the balance from the urban renewal agency. The importance of the $60,000 is so that their economic development activities can be outside within the whole city, not just limited to the urban renewal areas. So that one's important just to make sure they can do their work throughout the whole city. The airport fund, like Councilor Nishioka mentioned, there is a fund balance there. Unfortunately, airport operation dollars that generated that fund balance are limited to airport operations. You can't use those for an MRG. Just with the FAA grant restrictions, airport operating dollars need to remain within the airport. And was there another one?
I think that pretty much filled us in. Thank you for that information, and I really appreciate you getting back to me so fast. The things that I'm hoping for is a city our size. I feel, we have a great airport, and commercial air service can yield some federal grants, state grants that we would not be able to get that help with maintaining an infrastructure of an airport. And while Avella was here, that gave us the opportunity to get some grants that we hadn't been able to get without them. And there were a lot of people traveling in and out. To Mr. Wigg's point about people that are from Salem traveling somewhere else, spending money there that they could spend here, is true, but at the same time, if they may have traveled somewhere else. So it's maybe not really an apples to apples comparison, but it also did bring in many people that came to visit here. I think that what I'm hoping for is that we just see if there's any mechanism of opportunities that the city might have, but more importantly, to look at some of our county, state agencies that might be able to help. Some of the larger organizations such as, and I'll say Salem Hospital, or some of the universities here that can recognize the importance of having commercial air service, might be encouraged to support the funding that's needed. I know that low-cost carriers are oftentimes more risky, but there are some carriers, there's a few that are considered in what's called the hybrid model, which means they're not ultra-low cost, and they have a little more stability, and they may not require as much in an MRG as the low-cost carriers. So I'm just wanting to have opportunities. It's only been a month since we have not had commercial air service. That's not much time. And I'm just trying to see if there could be a way to have our staff look at other options that we may not know of, and then encourage other agencies that might be willing. I'm going to really lean in on businesses and corporations that could see the benefit and ask them to come forward. That's really what I'm asking for.
Any other comment? Councillor Nordyke.
Thank you so much. I'll be supporting the motion because I really like how you laid it out, Counselor. We know that our general fund dollars are an incredibly precious resource, and hot on the heels of this conversation are upcoming conversations about our very pressing needs to address public safety in this city, to address livability, to address cleanliness, to address behavioral health. Those meetings are coming up, and I hope you all come because those are some of the most important conversations we'll have this year. And I always welcome public input, written testimony, oral testimony, and the like. So that's a plug for coming attractions next week. But in the meantime, I think it is worth reminding folks that this was a huge risk that the city took, and it provided a lot of benefits to our business community. And it was a risk that we took on their behalf. And I would like to see other sources step up. I would like to see what other pots of funds may be available. But as for our general fund, we know that not every resident flies, but every resident wants to feel safe in our community. So I prioritize our dollars accordingly. Thank you.
Anyone else? Yeah, Councillor Matthews.
So I do think, I actually agree with the motion completely. I'll be supporting it as well, but I do want to reframe some of the picture a little bit. So I don't think there's any denying that airline service is very beneficial for the business community. Our whole economic impact analysis says that. I do want to reframe a few things, and that is, and this isn't my idea, this argument was made to me this week, and I hadn't really thought about it this way, but it did actually hold some weight for me. And that was that our airport in its current state is only really available and useful to a very select group of people, right? People that have planes, because I've never flown out of Salem Airport with the exception of our commercial air service. And so for me, right now, we have an actual equity issue at our airport generally, because it's not available to the lower income individual in our community. And I think it was Jose Gonzalez when he was still on council and airline was being proposed, is that he felt that the Latino community would have, from his ward, would have a bigger impact in being able to travel to the Southern California area specifically. And I don't know if that panned out or not, but what I can say for sure is that it did, when I was hearing that argument this week about the fact that, yeah, there are just a select group of people right now that are able to really enjoy the airport, really able to use the airport, and the resources we spend on it are just for them. Having any type of commercial airline, in particular a low-budget carrier, where more constituents can actually afford to fly, I think is actually opening up more than just to the business community and for their benefit. I think it opens up more to the whole community's benefit.
Councillor Brown.
Thanks, Madam Mayor. I am going to echo my colleague, Councillor Matthews, for saying that. And I really appreciate it because when my predecessor was here, those were his exact words. And if we are trying to have a level playing field for other folks to use, I think that's one of the best places to start. So thank you. And I will be supporting the motion.
Councillor Tigan.
Yeah, thank you. I think the other thing for community members who are curious about the level of investment that Salem has already made in the airport, and you're hearing tonight, and I agree with my fellow councilors that I think a successful investment, or the next successful investment in the airport, really what we heard a couple weeks ago from Volaire was the ability to have something like a revolving fund that is we can make decisions from quickly in order to entice airports or airlines into the Salem airport. And I think you get the sense that in the reporting and things like that, that the noun is Salem. Salem needs to do this, and that Salem and that construction is really us as the city. There's some things that the city can only do. Only the city can provide the police officers that need to be there when the plane lands. Only the city can provide the firefighters that need to be there when the plane lands. Only the city can manage the land base of the airport itself. And we do that. We're going to do that whether or not this MRG is created. But in terms of the city's table stakes for something like minimum revenue guarantee, I'd hope members of the community, other governments that might be deciding whether or not to invest in Salem, take a look at the $5 million that we've already spent to get us to this point as table stakes for our vision of the airport. I'll support this tonight. I think the thing I'm a little bit concerned about is that we just do what we did the last time, and that we only cobbled together enough for one small airline, and you wonder if they're going to stick it out through the entire contract. I think as a council, we also need to have a conversation about what the vision is. And if we raised $10 million rather than $250,000, what kind of permanent impact that would have on our city. Because I think an MRG that isn't just a little bit, but is something that is going to bring a number of airlines to the table, that's the sort of change that we're looking for. If we can't get something like that, I think we're just going to continue to have this conversation endlessly, and it's not worth our time.
Anyone else? Okay, then moving on to, oh, sorry, go right ahead, I apologize. The counselor has made a motion. It was seconded by Matthews, correct? If no further discussion, will the recorder please call the roll?
Counselor Brown?
Aye.
Counselor Vang?
Aye.
Counselor Nordyke? Aye. Counselor Varney?
Aye.
Counselor Tigan?
Aye.
Counselor Nishioka?
Aye.
Counselor Matthews?
Aye.
Counselor Gwynn?
Aye.
Mayor Julie Hoy?
Aye. Motion passes. We're moving on then to item 6E, announcing appointments to the Airport Advisory Commission, Center 50 Plus Advisory Commission, Historic Landmarks Commission, and Human Rights Commission. Item 6F, an update on the city's legislative activities in advance of the state legislature's special session on transportation funding. Okay. Yes, Councilor Varney, go ahead.
Thank you very much. On this item, one of the things that I really appreciated was the inclusion of the letter that we sent to the legislature, so I knew what we had all signed up for. Thank you.
Councilor Brown.
Thanks, Madam Mayor. I, too, am going to follow Councilor Varney in that. I'm appreciative of the letter. We do realize that there is a lot of folks on a variety of sides, and we also know, Madam Mayor, you've taken a lot of heat for this, and so I'm in support of this. So just thank you for leading us in this charge. Thank you.
Anything further? Okay. We have no ordinance. We have no first reading, no second. We're moving on to public comment. I'll call two names at a time. Please come forward to the podium. Make sure the green light's on before you speak. Please announce your name, your ward, and or your address for the record. And you'll have 3 minutes. First name, Jerry A. Jones and Patrick Carney.
Hi there, my name is Jerry Jones. I appreciate you allowing us the opportunity to speak this evening again. This is my second appearance in front of the City Council. As a little background, I own a company called Pikes Northwest. We are a real estate services company here in Salem. We manage a number of downtown properties and some other properties throughout the Willamette Valley. We also are involved in the purchase and sale and leasing of properties. I guess tonight I wanted to revisit a couple comments I'd made earlier, but before I do that, I'd like the council to maybe consider all public comments for non-agenda items to be addressed at the beginning of the meeting versus the end of the meeting to encourage more participation. Maybe even consider cutting it to 2.5 minutes or 2 minutes to allow more people to speak, but I think it would encourage participation. A lot of folks with families, it's difficult for them to get out here and speak sometimes at 8 o'clock or at 9 o'clock at night. So tonight's early, which is fantastic. The first time I appeared, I talked about an incident with one of our employees who was threatened at knife point while Salem PD was observing this individual. Spoke later on with the lieutenant who was in charge of the desk that day and got some clarity on the situation. But that was just a couple months back. A short time thereafter, Salem was became nationally known as the city with the largest fentanyl bust in the United States, I believe, courtesy of the Sinaloa cartel. So we are apparently a cartel city now, which is not good. I'm not seeing any changes in downtown yet. I'm kind of impatient when it comes to that. The last time I was here, I did indicate that I've asked a number of commercial property owners that represent a significant property tax base here in downtown to consider withholding their property taxes until such time the city council took action to clean up downtown and to make meaningful change, not just lip service, not just studies and commissions and committees, but actual meaningful change. I drove by Wilson Park the other day. It's still a disaster. Still a lot of folks with their trash along the state byway there in downtown Salem, and still conditions downtown that I don't consider safe for families. So I'm just wondering, when are we going to see some action? Rhetorical, since I know you can't answer. Last night, one of our managed properties at 250 Church was trying to think of the best word to use, was vandalized significantly, tens of thousands of dollars worth of damage done to the building. A large window was broken out. Several other large windows were damaged. Through nothing the property owner did. Just happened to be somebody, a vagrant, that decided they were angry and wanted to destroy some property, and so they did. So as a result, insurance rates for this building are going to go up. The owners are going to suffer, and once again, there's no penalty to be paid by this vandal who did the damage, if they can even catch them. And if they can catch them, we all know it's going to be a catch and release. So no penalty for the crime. And it's frustrating as a citizen and as somebody who is a taxpayer and employs people and wants people to be safe downtown to see this continue to just happen over and over again. It's a never-ending cycle.
I apologize. Your time has expired.
It has. Okay. Well, thank you very much. I appreciate your time.
Thank you for testifying. All right, Patrick Carney, and then Ashley Cunningham.
Good evening, City Councilors. My name is Patrick Carney. I'm a partner in about 7 acres downtown, including the Salem Central Mall, Macy's, and the movie theater. I echo Jerry's request to, if public comment could be addressed in the beginning, it would save us a few hours of our month and would be appreciated if it would be considered. Downtown remains unsafe and uninviting, despite the thousands of dollars spent by businesses on private security. This is money that is unbudgeted and really should never have to be paid. I never envisioned a Salem where you have to go hire your own muscle to protect your investment. We had our 6th break-in at Macy's. To date, we're approaching $50,000 in cleanup expense and repairs for these break-ins. Again, unbudgeted. Very hard to accept. Now, Salem PD did an incredible job, apprehended our perpetrator, and I look forward to September 22nd, where I'll be in court. It seems like this is all an accepted, like we're being expected to accept this on a daily basis. I don't know where we turn the corner here. It's very frustrating to have significant investment downtown and feel like you're at the mercy of the random break-ins and chasing people around. I do want to touch on Arches. I believe Arches is a contributor to the chaos downtown. It appears in 2020 the city paid $2.25 million for 0.75 of an acre of dirt. And I was shocked to discover the lease rate. It's the worst lease in the history of leases. $100 a year for 30 years and 2 10-year options. Arches is supposed to have a sobering center that I believe has never been opened. I would love for any of the city councilors to look into that. It is, if that's the truth, it's upsetting. The nonprofits who don't require sobriety, I'm with Manny Martinez as far as sobriety and accountability. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Carney. Ashley Cunningham and Bill Reiki.
Hello, my name is Ashley Cunningham. I am a business owner in downtown Salem. Just to reiterate what everyone else has already said, since I spoke here last, we have had another incident where I'm at home and I've been called to come help the women be escorted to their cars. I know this is a complicated situation, but I feel like we do need to be moving a little bit more on this. I also wanted to end on a more positive note. I'm also a mom here, and it was first week of school, and it was really nice seeing the police there, just helping keep everyone safe, helping everyone have a good first week, so I wanted to give a shout out for that. So thank you.
Thank you for your testimony. Bill Reiki and then Jackie Roche.
Hey, good evening, Bill Rickey. I own a business in Ward 5. I want to come to you tonight to thank you. I don't think the bulk of you and I could agree on the day of the week. I think one thing we do agree on is your volunteerism to our community. And it pays off, and it goes a long way. Thankfully, I have a rare occurrence to ever dial 911. August 23rd, 10:15 at night, had to call 911. As Chief of Police can probably attest to, it's a busy night, I would guess. Any Saturday night in this town is probably busy. Couldn't get through. There had been a tree that had fallen over that was blocking half of Sunnyside Road at Wiltsey. So we go the non-emergency route, and I'm thinking to myself, there's no way we're going to get anybody out here to move this tree to prevent an accident. We're pulled over on the side of the road, we're flashing our lights trying to get motorists to not hit that tree. And while I'm thinking that there's no way anyone's going to get out there to help us, I'm calling my oldest son, getting him out of bed at 10:15, 10:30 at night because he has to go to work for me the next morning at 6 o'clock to bring a chainsaw down, and I'm going to move this tree. And lo and behold, my wife discovered you could text 911, and they replied right away. And the non-emergency pickup came out, threw their lights on, and they were able to help direct traffic and prevent a what would have been probably a pretty bad accident at that intersection. So while I've been here before you all many times, beating you up with, for lack of better terms, the police chief and I have gone rounds, the fire chief and I have gone rounds. I do want to recognize as a member of the business community, which often isn't seen in a very positive light, that we do recognize the good things and your volunteerism, and it goes a long ways. So thank you very much for all of that.
Thank you, Mr. Reiki. Councilor Brown, did you have something? Yeah, go right ahead.
Thank you for saying that. Not just because your business is in Ward 5, which is the best ward out of all 8, but that's another conversation for another day. But thank you for saying that, because we do realize the work that goes on, but also for those individuals that are in a uniform or badge every day, realizing that 10 o'clock, 11 o'clock at night, while some of us are sleeping, there are some folks that are still in the post doing their work. And so for a business owner to actually come in here and share that, it means a lot, not only to the folks that are in this space, but to the folks that they represent. So thank you, sir.
Thank you, Councilor Brown. All right, Jackie Roche.
That is hard in heels. Hello, counselors. I want to first, I'm Jackie Roche, Ward 4. I wanted to thank Linda Nishioka today. I saw her earlier and she shared about the whole proclamation thing. I had no clue that we could, as a community member, reach out to you and ask to do a whole proclamation thing. Anyways, thank you. If you have questions and you're listening to this, reach out. September is National Recovery Month, and there are dates that are seared in your mind. January 28th, 2024 is one of those memories for me. I woke up in the hospital bed after blacking out in public with no ID on me, no phone. No one knew me, and the only option was to take me to the hospital. My blood alcohol level was 0.32. From the outside, I may have looked happy, successful, healthy, and that my life was put together. I was a health coach. I was involved at my church. I am a successful business owner, gave back to the community, but a dark truth lurked deep within me. When I was just shy of my 21st birthday, I had my first drink. All I can remember about my early years is people kept telling me I needed to figure out what my tolerance level was. I would regularly lose consciousness when drinking and wake up in my own vomit. Because I didn't have any examples of what addiction was in my life, I didn't realize that this was not normal. I thought that I just hadn't learned how to hold my liquor yet. I could go without drinking, and I didn't crave alcohol as long as I wasn't actively drinking, so I didn't think I was an alcoholic. It took me 20 years to learn that my type of alcoholism is that if it touches my lips, I couldn't stop, and there was no moderation option for me. I remember many times when I would polish off a fifth, look around my house for more booze, and I would open a bottle of wine, drink the whole thing, or at least as much as I could until I passed out. My husband paid the price experiencing my fits of rage at moments while drinking. I would pick fights with him, getting so upset because of my own doing, and running away from the house at times, finding myself huddled and hiding behind a car, running to an empty field or in the neighborhood, or just finding a random curb in the streets to sit on, crying, confused on the reality, ashamed of my actions, then wake up with foggy recollection of the evening before, and refusing to address what had happened as my teen kids witnessed these moments, held up in their rooms, scared. For the record, I never touched them. They just heard stuff. You would think getting a DUI in 2014 would be my rock bottom. You would think finding myself using alcohol to numb my conscience to engage in a series of extramarital affairs in my first marriage would have been enough to keep me from hitting rock bottom. Nope. I allowed myself to continue drinking for over a decade longer, never understanding that I was an alcoholic. Sure, I learned my lesson and never drank and drove again. I experienced an incredible and literal come-to-Jesus moment, coming face to face with my choices that led to the downfall in my first marriage. I am not the same person I was, thank you to God's forgiveness and a lot of counseling and recovery groups working the 12 steps for my other issues, even though I still chose to drink because I didn't think drinking was my problem. I thought that lack of willpower was the issue. May I continue, or do you want me to?
Please finish. Thank you.
When I woke up in that hospital bed on January 28th, 589 days ago, my drinking caught up with me and I knew I could no longer control it. This was the first step, was to admit that I was powerless over alcohol and that my life had become unmanageable. Admitting you have a problem is embarrassing. I thought I was doing a good job hiding it, waiting for the moment I could handle it with moderation, but there were friends and family members who could see through it, who attempted to ask me about it, and I rejected their concern. Many others who saw it and never said anything, I wasn't willing to change because I wasn't willing to admit I was powerless over alcohol. So many people, including Manny that you have heard speak up here, have been open about their own journey with alcohol, and this always caught my attention, and it convicted me because I knew I had a problem, and every time I heard them share, God pulled at me to admit I had a problem, and I still refused. When I finally came face to face with it, I knew I had a community around me that would be supportive, and I knew it was possible. When I made the choice to stop drinking for good, my husband professed he loves me more than alcohol and stopped drinking as well. Our lives have changed immensely, and I asked my kids at Christmas what the difference was since I stopped drinking, and they were grateful and thoughtful in their answers that I was more present. So during this National Recovery Month, if you find yourself in a place that you might be questioning your control over substance, I implore you and outright challenge you to humble yourself, embrace the temporary shame, to admit you have a problem and get help. Your life can be so much more than it is, and I have yet to hear one person who chose to stop drinking, alcoholic or not, that regretted it. You only have one life. Take control of it. Thank you for letting me go longer.
Thank you for sharing your truth. Anyone? Yeah, Councilor Brown, go ahead.
Thank you for sharing. In light of this particular month, and also just for your own victory within that struggle, it takes a lot to say that. And I realize that many has also said that before. But thank you. Thank you for sharing. Thank you for being present. Councilor Vang mentioned this earlier, that last week we had the privilege of opening the doors of a brand new school for teenagers, Discovery Academy. And within that school, we are working with young people who are struggling with addiction. And so with the very fact that you can be here tonight and share that, it gives me hope. I know it probably gives a lot of us hope for a lot of our young people that they can see you as an example to say, hey, you know what? If she can do it, and so can I. So thank you tonight just for being present and being in this space.
Thank you, Councilor Brown. Anyone else? Just to the others that testified on our public safety issues, I do want to mention that our strategic action plan on safety and livability we discussed on August 11th is in motion. We are going to take action. We are taking action currently. Personally, it's not moving fast enough, but it takes a bit to turn a cruise ship, I've come to learn. But our council meets on September 17th for a work session, and there will be more to come. So if there's nothing further, we are adjourned.